A tender embrace of fate. In the gentle embrace of a small American town nestled among rolling hills and quiet country roads, the year 1994 arrived as a time of renewal and quiet miracles. Emily Lawson had grown up in this peaceful community, where everyone knew each other by name and neighborly smiles were the norm. As the afternoon sunlight spilled over the town square, Emily found herself caught in an unexpected moment, a meeting of souls that would alter the course of her life in ways she could hardly imagine. Emily, with her soft hazel eyes and an ever-present air of quiet determination, had just returned to her hometown after spending several years in the city. The bustling metropolis had taught her valuable lessons, but it had also left her feeling adrift in a sea of endless possibilities that rarely held the warmth of home. The Lawson family home, filled with memories of laughter, heartbreak, and hope, provided Emily with the strength to start anew. It was during one warm spring morning at the local coffee shop that she first encountered Michael Carter. Michael, a kind-hearted man in his early 30s with salt and pepper hair and gentle blue eyes, had been a lifelong resident of the town. His presence resonated deeply with those around him, partly because of his generous spirit and partly because his own heart had known sorrow and renewal. The day their eyes met was as if fate had paused time itself. Amidst the hum of the espresso machine and soft murmurs of conversation, the two exchanged a glance that promised something both delicate and profound. "Good morning," Michael said, his voice warm and inviting. "May I join you?" Emily's heart fluttered at the sound of his gentle tone. "Of course," she replied hesitantly, gesturing to the empty seat across from her. There was an unspoken promise in that simple exchange, a promise that their lives were about to entwine in ways that neither could predict. In the days that followed, Emily and Michael spent many hours walking along the tree-lined streets and sitting beneath ancient oak trees in the town park. Their conversations ranged from reminiscing about childhood adventures to discussing dreams they yet had to pursue. Michael spoke often of his love for the town's traditions and how the memories of his late wife still illuminated his every decision. Emily, in turn, shared stories of her struggles in the relentless pace of urban life, and of the longing in her heart to rediscover a simpler, more meaningful existence. As their friendship blossomed, a subtle yet persistent tension began to build, an almost imperceptible conflict that lay at the heart of their growing affection. Michael's past was fraught with lingering regret and a deep, unhealed wound that had never fully mended. Though he had found solace in serving the community as a school counselor, his heart still carried the weight of loss. Emily, though she carried a fierce independence nurtured by years of professional and personal challenges, was haunted by her own lingering doubts about opening herself up to the possibility of love. It was during one of their many long walks that the gentle conflict between them emerged more clearly. They strolled side by side along a narrow country lane bordered by blooming dogwoods, the scent of fresh earth filling the air. Michael paused, turning to face Emily with a seriousness that belied the warmth in his eyes. "Emily," he began softly, "I feel as though whenever I'm with you, the parts of me that I thought were broken begin to heal. Yet, there's a constant whisper of fear that tells me I might not be worthy of this second chance at happiness." His voice wavered, betraying the inner turmoil he struggled so hard to conceal. Emily reached out, placing her hand gently on his. "I understand your fear, Michael. But sometimes, it's through our vulnerabilities that true strength is found. I, too, have been afraid to love after losing so much, to risk my heart again. But perhaps our wounds are not meant to be hidden, but rather shared in order to help us grow." In that quiet moment, under the expansive sky of a town that had witnessed generations of love and heartache, the two souls began the delicate dance of trust and hope. Their conversation was a turning point, a shared confession that turned the silent tension of the past into a promise of a brighter future. Over the course of the following months, as spring yielded to the gentle warmth of summer, their bond deepened. The town itself seemed to breathe a quiet sigh of contentment as if welcoming their union. Neighbors would often see Emily and Michael laughing on park benches or walking hand in hand along paved sidewalks lined with old-fashioned street lamps. Yet, as much as love blossomed, so did challenges. Michael found himself torn between the memories of his past and the possibility of a future with Emily. The ghost of his former life, one marked by unfulfilled promises and the haunting absence of a love lost too soon, sometimes rose unbidden in his thoughts. At community gatherings, as the laughter mingled with the soft melodies of a local band, he would catch himself staring into the distance, lost in recollections of the days when hope was a fragile spark. It was during one particularly quiet evening at a town fundraiser held at the community center that the full weight of Michael's internal conflict became evident. Surrounded by smiling faces and the gentle hum of music, he and Emily slipped out onto the back porch overlooking a star-filled sky. The cool night air was filled with the sound of crickets and the promise of renewal. "Michael," Emily began cautiously, "I see the pain in your eyes, sometimes the sorrow of a past that you think may still define your future. I want you to know that you don't have to carry that burden alone." Her voice trembled with earnest sincerity, and Michael felt his resolve waver. "Emily, I wish I could just let it all go," he replied, his tone heavy with remorse. "Every time I look at you, I see the warmth and promise of what could be, but I also remember the mistakes I've made and the love I once lost. How do I forgive myself enough to believe I deserve happiness again?" For a long few moments, silence enveloped them as the gravity of Michael's confession settled over the night. Then, with a determined yet tender smile, Emily squeezed his hand. "We are all a work in progress, Michael. We don't need to be perfect before we can love. Our scars are part of our story, proof that we have lived, and that we have the capacity to grow. Let us learn from our past and trust in the beauty we are creating together." In the weeks and months that followed, Michael began a slow journey toward healing, spurred on by Emily's steadfast support and the nurturing embrace of the community. The townspeople, with their simple yet profound acts of kindness, became unwitting partners in their quest for redemption and healing. There were shared dinners at the Lawson home, where old recipes and timeless memories wove a tapestry of belonging, and long afternoons spent volunteering at the local school, where the laughter of children reminded them both of the promise of new beginnings. Their journey, however, was not without setbacks. Amid the warmth of budding love, a series of misunderstandings and unresolved insecurities threatened to tear them apart. One fateful autumn afternoon, when the leaves had turned to shades of amber and gold, a miscommunication over a forgotten promise led to a bitter argument. The tension that had once been a quiet undercurrent now roared like a sudden storm. "You say you understand, Michael, but you spend so much time lost in your past that you never fully show up for me," Emily accused, tears glistening in her eyes as harsh words spilled out. "I need to feel like I'm the priority in your life, not just a consolation for your regrets." Michael, equally pained, retorted, "Emily, I'm doing everything I can to reconcile with my past, to forgive myself. How can I give you all of me when there are parts of me still cowering in fear?" His voice was thick with the anguish of someone who felt trapped between duty and desire. Their argument lingered like a dark cloud over a beautiful day. Emily retreated to the familiarity of her home, while Michael wandered the quiet streets, his mind a whirl of regret and longing. In the solitude of that long, sorrowful night, Michael realized that the love they shared was fragile, yet it was the beacon that could guide him through the darkness of his own doubts. In the days that followed, heartfelt apologies were exchanged and gentle words of reassurance spoken beneath the forgiving sky of early winter. They met in the modest warmth of the town's little diner, sitting in a private booth where the clatter of dishes and soft music provided a background to their delicate reconciliation. "I'm sorry, Emily," Michael murmured, reaching for her hand as though it were a lifeline. "I know that I have a long way to go, and sometimes I let my inner demons get in the way of the joy you so freely offer me. Please, believe in me as I try to believe in myself." Emily's eyes, reflecting both pain and hope, met his. "I do believe in you, Michael. I believe in us. I know that love isn't about perfection, it's about finding beauty in our imperfections and walking together through both the light and the shadows." Thus, as winter gave way to the tentative hints of spring, Michael and Emily embarked on a renewed path, one seated in vulnerability and nurtured by the trust they rebuilt. Their love was not the grand, sweeping romance of fairy tales, but rather a thoughtful, everyday miracle, one that spoke to the resilience of the human heart and the transformative power of forgiveness. Throughout the rest of that transformative year, the community continued to play its quiet part in their story. Friends like Sarah Bennett, a steadfast confidant from Emily's past, and Thomas Reed, a wise elder whose life stories always brimmed with lessons of endurance, lent their support in ways both subtle and profound. They gathered at local potlucks, shared in long walks by the river, and exchanged smiles and gentle nods that spoke volumes about a collective hope for meaning and connection. Even the town itself, with its modest storefronts and decades-old architecture, became a silent witness to the unfolding drama of the human spirit. There were moments of radiant joy as well. One bright morning, during the annual town festival in early May, Emily and Michael found themselves drawn to the old gazebo at the center of the celebration. As colorful bunting fluttered in the gentle breeze and children's laughter mingled with the sound of an old acoustic guitar, Michael surprised Emily with a small, heartfelt gift, a locket containing a miniature photograph of the two of them, taken on one of their first walks together. With a soft and trembling voice, Michael said, "This locket holds the memory of the day our paths crossed, a small reminder of how far we've come and how much more we have yet to journey together." Emily clutched the locket close, her eyes glistening with tears of gratitude and awe. "Every day with you is a gift, Michael, even on the days when the weight of our past seems too heavy to bear. You have taught me that love can be both gentle and fierce, that it can heal even the deepest wounds." The days of celebration gradually gave way to the quiet rhythms of everyday life. Routine visits to the town library, shared afternoons at the local community center, and quiet dinners at home formed the tapestry of their renewed relationship. In these moments of simplicity, Michael found the courage to open up more completely about his late wife, a woman he had once loved beyond measure. He spoke of her in quiet, reverent tones, sharing memories that were at once tender and bittersweet. Emily listened with compassion, understanding that the human heart is vast enough to hold love for more than one person at different points in time. "I will always cherish her memory," Michael confessed on one balmy evening as they sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon. "But I've come to realize that loving you does not diminish the love I once had. Instead, it enriches my spirit and helps me honor the past by embracing the present with hope and gratitude." Emily nodded slowly, her heart swelling with empathy. "Our hearts are capable of holding multitudes, Michael. Love is not a finite resource, and it is never diminished by the addition of new hope. What matters is that we keep moving forward, that we learn from every experience and allow ourselves the freedom to heal." As summer deepened and the days grew long with golden light, the subtle conflicts and uncertainties of the past began to recede into the background. Both Michael and Emily found strength in their shared vulnerability, allowing themselves to trust not only in each other but in the inherent goodness of life. Their journey was marked by moments of exquisite tenderness, a hand held during a moment of uncertainty, a whispered word of reassurance in the stillness of the night, a smile that spoke of promises kept even when the road was rough. In conversations with neighbors and longtime friends at the local diner, Michael would often speak in quiet tones about the transformative nature of forgiveness and the courageous act of opening one's heart again. Emily, in turn, became a pillar of compassion within the community, encouraging others to embrace their own journeys toward healing. The story of their love became something of a silent legend, a reminder that even amid heartache and uncertainty, there is always the possibility of new beginnings. One crisp autumn day, as the leaves turned brilliant shades of red and gold, Michael decided to take a bold step. He organized a small gathering at the community center, a celebration of life, love, and the beauty of second chances. Friends, old acquaintances, and even those who barely knew each other came together in a mosaic of shared memories and future hopes. In the glow of softly lit candles and the gentle murmur of heartfelt speeches, Michael took the stage with a trembling yet determined voice. "Tonight, I stand before you not as a man defined by his past sorrows, but as one who has learned that every heartbreak is a lesson, every tear a stepping stone toward a brighter tomorrow. I have been given a second chance at love, a gift I never thought possible. And so, with humility and unwavering hope, I choose to build a future with Emily, a future where our shared dreams can flourish in the light of forgiveness and understanding." The room filled with applause and murmurs of support, and in the crowd, Emily's eyes shone with unshed tears of joy. As the evening wore on, the celebration became less about any singular grand gesture and more about the simple act of coming together, a community united in the belief that love, despite all its trials, was the greatest gift of all. In the quiet aftermath of the evening, as the last guests departed and the community center stood bathed in the soft glow of twilight, Michael and Emily lingered together outside. The crisp autumn air held the promise of winter, yet the warmth between them defied the chill. Wrapped in a shared silence, they both understood that their future was not without challenges, but that each hurdle was an opportunity to grow closer and to cherish the resilience of the human heart. "I'm still learning every day, Emily," Michael confessed, his voice barely audible over the whisper of the wind in the nearby trees. "There are moments when I falter, when the mistakes of my past resurface. But I promise you, I will continue to fight for us, for me, for the love that you so graciously give me." His hand reached up to gently brush a stray strand of hair from her face. Emily's response was a soft smile that spoke of unwavering commitment. "And I, Michael, will stand by you through every storm. Love isn't perfect, and neither are we, but together, we can weather anything. Every day is a step forward, even when it feels like 2 steps back. What matters is that we are still here, still loving, still daring to hope." As the seasons turned and a new year began to dawn in the small town, the story of Emily and Michael continued to unfold like a long, winding river, sometimes turbulent, sometimes placid, but always moving inexorably toward a future filled with promise. Their love, anchored by deep-rooted friendship and nurtured by the gentle support of those around them, became a beacon of hope for many who had once felt lost in the tumult of modern life. In quiet moments spent together at dusk, when the world seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of the night, they would recall the early days of their connection, the small coffee shop encounter, the long shared walks beneath towering oaks, and the heartfelt conversations that laid bare their souls. Those memories, tender and raw, were a testament to the power of love to bridge the gap between past and future, to knit together pieces of a heart that had known both despair and delight. There were days filled with the mundane rhythms of rural life, grocery shopping at the local market, lending a hand at the community center, and sharing secret smiles with neighbors, but in those ordinary moments lay the extraordinary truth of their bond. Emily often marveled at how love had taught her that greatness lies not in grand gestures, but in small acts of kindness, a freshly baked pie delivered on a cold day, or the warmth of a smile exchanged on a quiet street corner. As the years passed and the colors of autumn deepened into winter's cool hues, the emotional landscape of the town remained as intimate as ever. In a world that sometimes felt as if it were moving too fast, Michael and Emily's love was a steady, gentle reminder that every moment mattered. Their journey was one of personal growth, of learning to let go, to forgive, and to trust in the possibility of happiness even when shadows of the past lay nearby. One quiet afternoon in early spring, when the snow had melted just enough to reveal buds on the trees, Michael and Emily sat on a weathered bench by the river that flowed by the town. The gentle murmur of water over stones provided the perfect backdrop for the introspective conversation that unfolded between them. "Sometimes I think about the path we didn't take," Michael mused, gazing at the sparkling water. "The choices that might have led me down a different road, perhaps one without the pain I carry." His voice was soft, laden with a vulnerability that he rarely allowed himself. Emily rested her head against the cool metal of the bench, her eyes fixed on the dance of sunlight and shadow in the water below. "But every path, no matter how winding, brought us here. And even the detours, however painful, taught us something invaluable about who we are and what we need. I believe that every experience, every heartbreak, is like a brush stroke in the masterpiece of our lives." Michael gently squeezed her hand. "I never imagined that I could feel this way again, that after so much loss, I could find such hope, so much warmth. You've brought life back into parts of me I feared were forever frozen in time." Emily smiled softly, her eyes shining with unspoken understanding. "And you've reminded me that even after the darkest winters, spring always finds its way back. Love, with all its complexities, is our chance to begin anew, and every sunrise is a promise that yesterday's sorrows can give birth to tomorrow's joy. The conversation continued long into the afternoon, each word a testament to the quiet strength that had grown between them. Their dialogue was light and full of tender reassurance, interwoven with memories of previous hardships and dreams of a future unbounded by fear. They spoke of building a home filled with laughter, of supporting one another as friends, and of cherishing every moment that life granted them. In the fullness of time, Michael and Emily's journey evolved into a living tapestry woven from threads of hope, resilience, and unwavering affection. Their love was neither explosive nor ostentatious, instead, it was as subtle and profound as the first light of dawn, a promise that every new day held the potential for healing and joy. Even as life presented its inevitable challenges, a sudden setback at work for Michael, an unexpected health scare for Emily, and the everyday struggles that define human existence, the couple found solace in their shared resilience. They learned to navigate the ebb and flow of life with grace, leaning on the supportive network of friends and neighbors who, year after year, had witnessed this love story emerging among them. Every encounter in the small town, from the friendly nod of Mr. Jenkins at the grocery store to the warm greetings exchanged on the steps of the town hall, reinforced a profound truth, that community, shared history, and genuine connections could mend even the most fragile hearts. In that spirit, Michael and Emily became not only partners in love but also beacons of hope for those who believed that no matter how deep the scars, the heart always had the capacity to love again. On a particularly bright afternoon, as the first blush of summer began to fade into the contemplative hues of early fall, Michael organized an intimate, unexpected celebration at the very coffee shop where they had first met. It was a moment that encapsulated all the steps they had taken together, a public acknowledgement of their commitment, wrapped in nostalgia and hope. Friends and patrons gathered in quiet anticipation as Michael, with the tremor of earnest emotion, spoke words from the heart. In this little town, in this familiar place that has seen us through both joy and sorrow, I stand before you to honor love in its truest form. Love is not always simple, and our paths have been paved with uncertainties and old regrets. But today, I choose to look forward with open eyes and an open heart, promising to nurture every moment of joy, every shared dream, with the woman who has shown me that the future is as bright as a new day. His words, though tender and unpolished, resonated with every listener in that small, cherished space. The soft applause that followed was the kind of affirmation that lit up Michael's eyes and made Emily's smile all the more radiant. It was a celebration not just of a love that had survived the storms of the past, but of a community that believed in second chances and the transformative power of kindness. And so, as the seasons continued their gentle rotation and time wove its story around every heart in the town, Michael and Emily embraced each day with gratitude and the quiet assurance that love, above all, was worth every risk. Their lives, interlaced with moments of profound sorrow and incandescent joy, became a living novel written in the language of hope and tender understanding. In the soft glow of the fading afternoon, while the town prepared to welcome another starry night, Emily and Michael sat together on the steps of their modest home. The gentle murmur of life, all the rustle of leaves, distant laughter from neighbors, and the soft hum of a world that moved both slowly and surely assured them that every chapter of their story, with its ups and downs, was a miracle in itself. They had learned that closures and fresh beginnings often resided in the same moment, that love could mend the deepest wounds if nurtured with sincerity and courage. Looking into each other's eyes, they realized that despite the scars, despite the doubts, they had found in one another the ultimate comfort, a promise that together, every struggle was a lesson, every tear a precursor to joy. And in that gentle understanding, amid the quiet chime of a distant bell, they silently vowed to always cherish the simple, extraordinary magic of a love that embraced life in all its fragile beauty. As dusk settled over the small town that had witnessed decades of dreams and heartaches, Michael and Emily held each other close, ready to face whatever the future held. Their story, a continuous tapestry of love, friendship, and personal growth, was a testament to the idea that even amidst the churn of life's uncertainties, one tender embrace could illuminate the darkness and guide hearts to a place of unwavering hope and lasting redemption. In every sunrise that bathed the town in tender gold, in every whispered conversation beneath starlit skies, and in every moment of shared silence, their love lived on, a gentle reminder that the greatest journeys are those taken not alone, but hand in hand, with hearts unburdened by the past and eyes turned toward the promise of tomorrow. And so, in that small American town where every soul had a story and every heart beat with the desire to belong, Michael and Emily continued to write their own epic, a heartfelt, unending novel of hope and renewal that would be remembered for generations as a testament to the healing power of love. Even as the years moved gently by, carrying with them the transient beauty of moments both fleeting and eternal, the love and companionship between Michael and Emily became the very spirit of the town, a reminder that, in a world often defined by loss and regret, the rediscovery of hope and the courage to love again is the greatest triumph of all. In that shared journey of personal growth and tender understanding, they found that every sunrise brought with it a promise anew. Every moment was a chance to mend broken pieces and to build a future where even the smallest gestures of kindness held the power to change lives. This was not the story of a grand fairy tale, but rather an honest narrative woven from real lives, each scar and smile a brushstroke in an ever-evolving masterpiece of emotion and connection. And in that ongoing, unabridged narrative of love, every word, every pause, every shared heartbeat resonated with the undying truth that love in its softest whisper or its loudest cry is the light that guides us home.